some people cringing already. It's a new guy, so I'll keep it on subjects that won't make you uncomfortable. Let's talk about church. So I was in this church about a year ago, and I saw on all the walls, it was one of these churches that had all these posters that added up these different biblical events up until, to show you how old the earth was, according to them, like 4,000 years. And so I thought, they have to buy new posters every year? Anyways, we all have struggles. I myself always felt like the wind was blowing in my face instead of my back, so I grew my hair out. But really, it was just to cover up my lack of muscle tone. As you can see, when I raise my arm, the sleeves fall, and that's because my bicep's the same size as my wrist. But regardless of my lack of looks, I was able to get a pretty girl to go out with me about 9 months ago, and we're still together. But I still try to impress her parents and get their approval. And so we were talking politics the other day, and it's going well, and I see by the looks on their face I've slipped up and said something they don't agree with. And so then all of a sudden I feel like the wheel man, the bag man, just did not come out with anything. And so I'm just going around the block, just waiting for some, I'm throwing out terms that, without even thinking about them, 1% in the South, shrinking middle class, they're just coming out without any meaning behind them. And I can't back up because then they know what's up. And so I just keep going around until finally I see in my mom's eyes that I've said something. And so the bag man came out with nothing, but he gets in the car and we drive off. And which it surprised me that I'm able to get another family to accept me at all, because I get surprised that my own family accepts me because I do a lot of dumb things. And first thing that I have to say I ever did that was really dumb was, it was about 4th grade, me and a friend were playing out on this log pile, and we were told not to play on the log pile, but of course we were. And so then I fall, I hurt my arm, and so I just decided to ignore it because I don't want to get in trouble. And so then next morning, I can't move my fingers and my wrist's about the size of my foot. And so I showed it to my parents, and they rushed me to the hospital and get an x-ray, and of course it's broken. And so then the doctor asked me, do you remember hurting your arm? And I just go, no, because I don't want to get in trouble. And which, as you can imagine, is a little more than just suspicious. And so then they passed it, and then after that they take me to another room that my parents aren't in, and they ask me again, do you know how you hurt your arm? And of course I just say no again. And not at all realizing how close my parents were to being arrested for domestic abuse. But, somehow they get out of it. Anyways, another time, me and a couple of friends were in, I don't know if you've ever been to Jefferson, Iowa, but, we had a gorilla costume like this. And Jefferson still had school that day, and so we come up with a good prank. And I go in first, just tell the office I'm waiting for somebody. I sit there with my camera, just pretend to look through photos, but really I'm recording. And first friend comes in a suit and tie, and goes to the secretary and says, I got a call about a monkey problem. Of course, she has no idea what he's talking about, and he's, oh, it must have been a prank call, and he walks out. Then I'm there for about another 15 minutes, just really wondering where friend 2 has come, where friend 2 is, and then he finally gets there, does a little jig, and runs out. And they freak out. The secretary goes back in the office, and I just duck out and find out later, friend B had never been to Jefferson High School, and so he had no idea where the office was. And so he had just been walking around until he could find somebody to casually ask directions for in a gorilla suit. And of course, this drew all kinds of kids out of their classrooms on their phones. And so then about a week later, they find out who did it, and we get called into the guidance counselor's office, and the first thing he says is, that show Jackass? They must have good lawyers. Anyways, so I've been hearing a lot, Nick, you should see Game of Thrones, you really love Game of Thrones, and finally I got around to seeing it, and if you've never seen it, it's mostly dwarf jokes and incest. Thank God, they think I love dwarf jokes. Anyways, well, my sister, she's a musical theater major here at Drake, and And she, of course, she's a big supporter of me doing this, and so she was asking me, how do you think you're going to end it? And I said, I don't know.